Hi guys, Jordan from P&P Campers. I'm just going to do your handover video on your Burstner Ixeo. It's a 664, and what I'm going to do is start the video from inside because it's absolutely chucking it down with rain at the moment. So what I'll do is I'll do the inside part of the video, and then there will be a second part uploaded as well to do a walk around the outside. So as soon as we jump in the habitation door just here, you have got the control panel up to your right hand side. But before we get into that, I'll just show you around the cab. So this particular cab, it's on the Fiat Ducato. It's the automatic, so nice sort of, they're becoming quite rare nowadays to get an automatic, so really nice thing to have there. We've got the standard sized single din Pioneer head unit just there. All of your sort of nice, this is the kind of what do you like, facelift version of the cab here, with the air conditioning switch just here and all of the heater controls on a little screen just there that come up nicely. You've then got your hazard warning lights here from the middle. You can lock and unlock the cab from here. You've got your ASR switch, and the little button just there behind the gear stick. We did find out recently it's something to do with sort of hill assist, because you got the automatic gearbox. You don't get that with the manual gearboxes, but that's what that's for, if you're wondering. On the left hand side of the steering wheel, the top stalk just here is for your lights and indicators. The lower one is to do with your cruise control, and so basically you've got the resume button on the outside of it just there, off and on, and then you can adjust your speed accordingly from there as well. You've got the reversing camera, so it's a Waco reversing camera, which really is kind of like the expensive version, the nice, you know, quality version when these vans were being built from the factory. You've got a little step switch just there, which will tell you if you put the ignition on, it will light up red if the step is out. So it's a good indicator for you to let you know that the step's out. You're not going to take anyone's shins off when you're driving away with the van. You've got the electric adjusting mirrors from this little joystick here, so you just basically move it to which mirror you want to move, and then move it around to adjust the mirror. And your windows, your electric windows. The bonnet release handle is just inside the passenger door there, so when you open up the door, it's just on the inside of the dashboard there. And the last thing really is that you have got all of the cab blinds throughout, and they basically just lock up there with a magnetic strip. So there we go. Right, so I think that's about it for the cab, and I just want you to bear in mind it really is chucking it down with rain out there, so if it is a little bit noisy in here, that's why. So as I was saying, as soon as you come into the cab, into the habitation door just here, you have got the control panel just here. So all I've done so far is press this little 12-volt button, which allows us to use anything that runs via the 12-volt or the leisure battery, basically. Once I've done that and I've got the little yellow light in here, that means that we can go ahead and we can do anything else on the control panel that we want. So on the left-hand side, you can see a picture of a motorhome. When we press and hold on either of these, it will show up on the top scale there. It will show us the battery voltages, okay? So the first one here on the left-hand side is the engine battery voltage. So let's have a look at that. 12.5 volts, absolutely perfect resting battery rate. And then the leisure battery might be slightly lower. There you go, on 12. So a resting battery rate is roughly between about 12 and 12.2 volts. So the fact that the leisure battery is on 12 volts right now is really, really good, because we've got the lights on, we've got the boiler lit up on the gas for the heating and hot water, so the fan's running. We've got various bits and pieces working at the moment, and the fact that it's on 12 still is a very, very good sign. You've then got, on the right hand side, we've got the fresh and wastewater levels. So we look at the bottom scale for this. Fresh water, 1/4 of a tank. Wastewater, also 1/4 of a tank. So that's how we know the fresh and wastewater levels. And then we've also got your pump switch over here on the right. So, because this is a German vehicle, it's Burstner, they are renowned for fitting submersible water pumps. The last video that I did was also a Burstner, and it also had a submersible pump. But basically what that means is that you essentially, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to turn off this boiler quickly because it's a bit noisy. Essentially what the submersible pump part of it means is that you don't really get a huge amount of pressure building up around the van or the water system of the van. The big plus side to that is that if you are going to have a leak, or if there's any issues with the van specifically, water-wise, a van with a submersible pump won't show up the leak straight away, and you'll have a chance to kind of get there before it makes a real big mess. The reason for that is that the pump will not run unless you pull the tap up physically. So as opposed to a normal inline pump, an inline pump, as soon as you turn the pump switch on the control panel, will get to pressure before it turns itself off. All right, whereas this one just will not even turn on until you lift the tap. So once you've got that pump switch on, you can then come over to the tap here and pull the water through however you'd like to. So we've got your cold water, and over to the hot side. So it's a good thing to show you. A little bit of air in the system there. So just getting rid of a little bit of air. There we go. So what you just saw there is a really, really good example. So essentially what just happened was I was checking to see if the boiler actually had water in it. Okay. And if there wasn't any water in the boiler, we wouldn't have got any water coming out of that part there, you know, that tap there on the hot side whatsoever. It just would not have come out. So it's really important just to make sure that you've got water in the boiler just by pulling that tap up like that. And if you do get any air coming through just like that, just leave it on like I did until it starts coming through nice and clearly again. All it is just little bits of air in the pipe just escaping before the tap. So once you've done that, you can then go ahead and do whatever you like really with the boiler. You can light it up, you can, you know, just tell it to do whatever. But until you've done that, it is really important that you don't light the boiler up, especially if you're going to light it up to try and get hot water. So if you try and light the boiler up, you know, for hot water, when there's no water in the boiler, you're gonna overheat it basically. So you've then got the 3-burner hob. Over here, you will need an ignition of some description to light any 3 of these up, because there isn't an igniter, you know, an electronic ignition on the side of it. So you will need a long reach lighter or a clicker or something to light any 3 of these up. You then got your draining board just here. And I think that's about it for that section. So we've then got the fridge just here, which is a automatic energy selecting fridge, but it's also got the Dometic integrated oven and grill. So really easy how to use these. If you want to light the grill up, you push in and round to the right, and that will light the grill up. And if you want to light the oven up, we just go the other way, in and round to the left. There you go. So that is the oven and grill section on the top just there. You've then got the fridge itself. So the fridge itself works 3 different ways. So you've got gas, 240 volt and 12 volt. So it's gas, 240 volt and 12 volt. So you either have to get the fridge cold first on the gas or the 240 volt, because they're the only 2 ways that the fridge will get cold by itself. Once you've got it cold, you can then switch over to 12 volt just for when your engine's running, via the split relay, which I might, you know, I'll explain to you in just a minute. But that's how you actually have to get the fridge cold in the first place. If you've got the gas on and the 12 volt switched on up there, you should be able to this is all you have to do to light it up on the gas, just this. That's it. Leave it alone then, because the flame's lit, and that's honestly all you have to do. I've had this on for about an hour and it's absolutely freezing cold in this top freezer part. So the fridge itself is working really, really well. If you had an electric hookup plugged into the van, you're just as well to turn it over to the electric hookup symbol here, because it's just, you know, just as easy as the gas there. If you don't have the gas switched on, then you can use the 240 volt. Or to be completely honest, in my opinion, if you've got the hookup plugged in anyway, I would just use hookup. You know, save you wasting any more gas. And as I was saying, you've got the 12 volt symbol just down here as well. So the 12 volt works in a way that's a little bit different to the other two, in that it only really holds the temperature that you've already put into the fridge. So you need to pre-cool it on either the gas or the 240 volt, and then turn it over to 12 volt just for when you start the engine and you're driving. And the reason that that works is that essentially what you've got is what's called a split charger or a split relay. And all that does is it basically takes some power away from the, well, not away from it, but splits it off from the alternator, which normally just charges the engine battery, which is down here. Splits that off so that it comes through to the leisure battery and the fridge at the same time. So what that means is that all the time that you're driving, your engine is physically charging your leisure battery as well as the engine battery, which obviously is a really, really good thing, because anytime you get to a campsite or wherever you're going, the leisure battery is going to be fully charged. But it also means that because you get a wire coming through to the fridge, it means that you can keep the fridge cold whilst you're driving. And the other thing I was just saying about the AES part of it, automatic energy selecting, is that you've got the auto symbol at the bottom here, which means that it will just basically select which one it needs to select for you automatically. But in my opinion, you're better off just, you know, doing it manually. It's just as easy. But there you go. So there is your fridge. So under the bed, you have got good access to the boiler just there. And if I just lift this up, how does it go up? Okay, so in this lower cupboard here, you've got a couple of gas isolators there. Top one's for the fridge, the bottom one's for the boiler. So that's all I need to show you under there. So what I'm going to do is just get down here so I can show you these dials here. So right, so what we've got is the two top ones there, which are both for your combi, your boiler, and the bottom one here is just a switch for the tank heater, just to stop it from freezing up. Basically, if it's really, really cold outside, you might want to use that. Otherwise, you know, we only live in England, we don't live in sort of, you know, nowhere seriously cold anyway. So so there you go. Right, so the combi boiler part of it is sometimes the more difficult thing to understand. The one at the bottom that says Combi E is your energy selector. So where it is at the moment is on gas only. If we went up 1 or up 2, that's electric only at either 4 amps or 8 amps. If we go down 1 or down 2, it's the same amount of electric, so you've got 4 amps and 8 amps, but it's gas and electric at the same time. If we leave it in the middle where we were at the start, it's gas only. So at the moment, I haven't got the hookup plugged in, so the gas is the only way I can use it anyway. All right, so that's just telling the boiler what energy to actually use. You've then got the one at the top here that just says Combi. This is the one that actually tells the boiler what to do. So if we go down 1, we've got heating only. Down 2, we'll get the amber light come back on again, and that's heating and hot water at the same time. If we go back up to the middle again, that turns the boiler off completely. If we go up 1, we've got hot water only at 40 degrees, and up 2, hot water only at 60. All right, so up is hot water only, down 1 is heating only, down 2 is both. So hopefully that makes sense. So just to give you a quick example, if I wanted to have, you know, it's quite a warm day today, so I don't actually want the heating on, but say I had the hookup plugged into the van but I didn't have the gas switched on, I would have to either choose 1 or 2 on the electric down here, because I don't want it to use gas, I only want it to use electric, and I want hot water, so I'd have to go up 1 or up 2. Okay, the little red flashing light is coming on because we haven't got the hookup plugged in, so when I turn this back down to gas only, it will light up and start working. So back to the middle, turns the boiler completely off. So fingers crossed that makes sense. Sometimes it can be a little bit tricky to explain, but yeah, hopefully it made sense to you. Right, so this particular model has got the electric drop-down bed, which if I just show you, works really, really well. So we'll just let it come all the way down so you can see. Right, so that's in its complete down position. You have got these little bits that go up to the top to stop you falling out of bed, and a light switch over in the corner there for these pair of lights. Now these beds are really, really strong. You know, you haven't got to worry about it sort of falling or anything like that. They are super strong. The mechanism there, you can see, very, very, probably a little bit over the top even, but you know, very, very strong, as you would want it to be. And then they just a little bit noisy, the mechanisms, but just because they're so sort of heavy and sturdy, all the way up. So I always like to show that because you know, it going up and down like that is a really good sign. You know, when they've been sort of used and abused, they do sometimes get a little bit worn out, but this one is absolutely fine. So in this main wardrobe here, we've got the well, the tilt and turn TV aerial is up there at the top. So, you know, just simple as really, just loosen off the top nut there and then push it up and physically turn it around as to where you need it. And at the bottom, we've got all of your paperwork in the brown folder there, and your 240 volt trip switches over there in the corner. This little sort of section here is for your TV, so this will pull out all the way to allow you to hook a TV onto it. If you pull it all the way out, you can either have it facing down here if you're in this bed here, or over this way if you're up on that bed there, or sat over in the corner. Obviously both the front seats will swivel round as well, so you can have this as a big sort of dining area, and you know, it makes a nice big area once you've got them spun around. Bathroom, typical Burstner sort of layout in the bathroom, with your mixer tap over here on the right hand side for the sink, and this kind of mid separated shower. So you do need to, so I always forget which way you actually have to do it, but one over here which folds out like that. Right, yeah, so on this left hand side here, you basically need to pull this across like that, so this covers off the toilet section just there, and it will lock in if you get it the right way, the right side of it, like there you go. So that's locked in place there, so that it's completely covering off this toilet section here, and then you do the same with this one here, but this side, and then you've got your shower compartment with the shower in here. So it's a nice clever way of doing it. It's kind of completely separate if you set it up properly, and nice and easy, nice and quiet when you're driving as well. A little bit of storage just here to the left, and I'll just show you how the toilet actually works, because it's the only part that I tend to actually run through in the bathrooms, because the rest of it's pretty simple. So all you need to do, press the blue button to get your pump flush fluid around, and then pull the handle towards you to drain it out into the cassette. So that's in the cassette now, and then push it back. And that is it. Doesn't get much easier than that. So, okay, just make sure I've shown everything. Pull this down. Yeah, so I've shown the bed, sink, 3 burners. Let's see if there's anything down there. So you've got the, for the 3 burners at the top there, you've got an isolator tap for that as well, for the gas. I will just point out as well, with the gas isolators, you do not need to turn them off every time you get out of the van. The only reason you should ever need to turn any of those gas isolators is if you think there's an actual issue with one of the appliances. So if you thought to yourself, right, I think there's a gas leak on the fridge, then yes, 100% isolate it from that point there so that you can carry on doing what you're doing, because it'll isolate it individually. But when you're just getting out the van and you want to kind of lock the van up or whatever, just turn the gas bottle off. That's enough that's a better isolator. If you turn it off from the bottle, you're isolating it from outside. But if you isolate it from on one of the isolators, you're isolating it from inside, so the gas is still there. All right. So if you just want to completely isolate the gas, just turn the bottle off from the outside, and that's it. Right. So there will be a second part for the video, and me going around the outside. But as you can probably tell, it is absolutely horrible out there, so I'll do it in just a minute when it stops raining a little bit. So I'll see you there. Thank you very much.